looking at what we've been watching since about 7 past the 5 o'clock hour. That's at the point where he got off the 14 freeway at Newhall Avenue and decided to get right back on the freeway and continue on toward Palmdale, which he has done. Again, there were 2 suspects in this pickup truck for most of this pursuit. The passenger jumped out about 10 minutes before this thing ended in a gated community somewhere along the border of Palmdale and Quartz Hill. The LAPD and other airships overhead following that suspect to make sure he doesn't get away. Again, if you're in a gated community in that area, you're advised to keep your windows and doors locked tonight. We have not had reports that that second suspect is in custody. All efforts, as far as our cameras at this point, are watching this standoff at the end of this pursuit in Palmdale. At this intersection where this individual was hit with a pit maneuver, and it appeared initially as though that pit wasn't going to work because the vehicle straightened out and continued on straight, but then apparently became disabled. We don't know if the truck stalled or if he just lost control of the steering, the power steering. We just don't know. The truck just rolled straight into a car that was sitting in a left-hand turn lane there, facing the opposite direction. Those civilians...
He's really pushing it by these cars, and it's not going to take much for him to lose control or collide with one of these slower cars right through that intersection in excess of probably 90 miles an hour as he comes along here, coming up on a very active intersection here. A lot of businesses around it. As he approaches, we'll get the intersection for you in a second. Tim Deckard working the camera as well as the moving map for me. And we're listening to the LA units overhead. Wrong side of the street, through the intersection, left turn here. Oh, spins out, comes around, backwards. 50th Street, just spun out on 50th Street, and then CHP just rammed him, knocked him out of control. That CHP car is disabled. Now the other CHP units are going to kind of catch up with him, and we'll see what kind of damage is done to him. But we're on 50th now, back to the south from in. He took a pretty good hit on the rear there. He might have gotten a little bit of damage to that rear car as he spun out, coming around the corner there, but now continuing on in street. That CHP car hit him very, very hard. That CHP car disabled. He's now turning into a neighborhood. This is a very tight little neighborhood. It might be gated community. It's a gated community here. Gated. Oh, now the gate comes open for him, and then he kind of goes through there. Now this is going to really turn into something different. He's into a housing complex here. Doors open. We'll see what happens here. One guy bailing out, on foot, running with a bag or a jacket of some sort. Driver continuing on. 2 LA air units are overhead, so one's going to stay with that passenger that just bailed out, and now the other one's going to stay with the car. So that first guy's not going to get away. I can see they got the light on him, chasing him around, as well as get the sheriffs in here. So that's why LA County Sheriffs was in the area to help out with that type of situation. So one guy bails out, takes off running. The upper ship will take over, follow him. The lower ship will stay with the car. And now I'm here in LA County Sheriff's helicopter coming over to assist the LAPD helicopter with directions and to get people in here. But he's stuck in a community right here. He's not going to be able to get out. They had a gated community, so as you know, these are all locked in to where they can't really get out. So there might be a back gate here. He's going to try to push his way through. Yep, pushing out the gate here, back out onto the surface street, and we'll see where he goes from here.
Well, he certainly knows where he is. I mean, if those gates opened for him just like that into this community here in Palmdale. Again, if you're just joining us, we've been on this pursuit now since about 5:20, and this has gone from Northridge all the way here now to Palmdale into this gated community where those gates opened for him. And then when he was in, there was a second person in that car who bailed out holding something. We don't know if it's a jacket or a bag or what it was. But we have been reporting that there were 2 suspects in this car, so now there's only 1 person in this car as the other person bailed out inside that gated community, as this suspect has now gotten out of that area and back onto surface streets. Still such a dangerous pursuit, Micah.
Boy, they had an opportunity there in that gated community. They had an opportunity, and it appears as though they're going to get that initial suspect that jumped out. Well, he's going to have a hard time now. He's starting to lose control of this truck and into the mud, but continues on in this F-150 that has performed well as this guy's been driving over 100 miles an hour for over an hour now. We saw a CHP cruiser ram into the back of him as he lost control a few moments ago on surface streets, did a complete 180. The CHP car came up behind him, rammed right into him, and frankly disabled himself. This truck able to continue on, and now we believe there is just the driver, the lone suspect in this car. It appears as though the guy who jumped out is close to being brought into custody, if he's not already. They had an airship over him inside that neighborhood. He's going to have a hard time getting away. This guy, though, continuing on these two-lane roads, and this looks as though it might even be a dirt road.
Now going back to the north, now around back to the south here on this major road, and see they spun out a little bit coming around the corner, so I'm hoping that CHP car did a little damage to him as he rammed him there at that intersection as he came around the corner, lost control, spun around, and they got 30th Street West is what we're on right now, heading back to the south, 30th Street West. And the other car, they're still looking for the other subject that bailed out in that gated community, and I bet you he's not going to get away because I see police cars all over that community. But now we're southbound here, continuing on. He's just moving right along with nobody out in front of him, but it's just a wild pursuit, and he's just all over the valley out here. So where he's going to end up, we don't know. Working his way along here, along the streets of Lancaster over here, right up against the hills of Lancaster on the west side, wrong side of the street here, coming up through this intersection, and through the intersection now, you see that's the county sheriff's doing a traffic break. That's what they'll do. They'll get out ahead, turn on their lights in the intersection to keep the drivers in the area aware that something's coming their way. It stops traffic. It allows that car to get through without hitting anything. Like I said, on surface streets, everything is in play. You have pedestrians, cross traffic, all kinds of things that he can run into, and they'll do that. It's one of the things they do, just get out in front of him and block. Okay, here comes a pit maneuver. Here comes a pit. He's getting up on him, takes him to the right, gets him around, not quite all the way around. He needs to get on that just a little bit harder as they come up and touch that bumper. Boom! Head on with that car sitting in the left turn pocket, and now he'll come up and jam him. But the problem you have right now is you got civilians in the way. So now they're going to have to do here to see exactly what this guy will do. Hopefully he'll stay right there, and I see the officer getting out from behind his car trying to signal people out of the way, trying to get them out of harm's way. That car he's buried into is just stuck. That poor guy right there, he's right in the line of fire. And now that's what the CHP officers here have to deal with, is not only their safety as well as the safety of that driver in that car. As they come, hopefully that driver just gets out of his car and takes off running. That's what I'd recommend to do, is if you're stuck in a situation like this, just get out, take off, run to the side. It looks like he's doing, he's popping out of the car, and there you go. Very good, excellent, way to go. Bail out of the car, get out of the line of fire. Now they got to clean the area here. They're going to get cars behind him to block traffic off, to get everybody out of the way. Now, we don't know if this guy is armed or not, but you have to run with that in your mind, that he is armed. He has given everything he can to get away. Now he's crashed, he's stuck, and now we're in a standoff, and time is on the officers' hands at this point. They can take as long as they need to bring this situation to a close, and now they're just trying to control the area. You see the county sheriff's unit coming in behind, blocking traffic, and up ahead they have units up ahead trying to block traffic off ahead to clear off that street. Yeah, there's still quite a bit of traffic on that street because you have folks just confused on what they need to do, but the county sheriffs are going to take care of the roads for them to clear out the area here so they can have a clean line behind him, because the last thing you want to do is injure somebody back behind them if he should come popping out of that car shooting. But you can see the damage to that tailgate caused by that white CHP cruiser that smashed into him on that turn. Put a lot of damage on the back of that truck, but it kept on going, and it seems like he was having difficulties in the car, and as well as just had enough of this, because this pursuit went on for well over an hour or so. As we went through high speeds through the 14 up over the hill and all that driving, we took out the 118 out into Simi Valley all the way out, and then turned around in Sycamore and came back doing the same thing again, and off into Porter Ranch. So this has been a long playing pursuit, bailing out in that private community, gated community here in Lancaster, and then continuing on, finally come to a crash here. So he may have just given up just a little bit, like you said, or he could have had an issue with the car, or who knows what that first CHP car that just ran into the back of him as he came around that corner, spun out, and then straightened out. The CHP officer, the white SUV, ran into the back of him, causing that damage you see on the tailgate. So, anything can happen here. We're just gonna have to sit and wait to see what happens.
That CHP cruiser got the worst of that collision. He did some damage to the back of that pickup, but that CHP car was going nowhere after that hit. Yeah, maybe his brakes failed. We did see as he rolled through the intersection there in the waning seconds of this pursuit, the brake lights were on. So his feet were on the brakes.
He's already made up his mind that he's going to stick in that car, and it's going to be up to the sheriff's department here to convince him to get out. But yeah, it's all up to him right now. He can end this very easily. Just get out of the car, follow the directions of the deputies, and this thing would be over. But if he insists on sitting in there, they're going to continue on with their procedures to get him out. So yeah, we're in it for the long haul right now as we have this standoff here at Rancho Vista in Highland here in Lancaster.
So Tim,
on the ground, and it looks like he might be complying at this point, but yeah, he's laying flat on his face, laying down and crawling sideways. So at this point, we'll see what he does. He just looks like he's giving up, crawling towards the officer, which I'm sure they're not directing him to do. Normally, you would have him stand up and walk backwards towards you, but he is crawling backwards. Maybe he's injured from this crash, who knows? But kind of doing a weird crawl backwards here. Looks like a male with a black t-shirt, short black pants on, black shoes. And we're staying wide just in case something happens here, because we don't want to put anything on TV that may be an issue. But right now it looks like he's trying to comply, working his way back towards the officers. You can see the officers are not in any hurry to rush up there and grab him. They're going to get him in a position of their advantage, not get themselves out behind too much cover, because this guy could wait for them to do that, roll over and start opening fire. So with his strange behavior up to this point, I can kind of see a waistline there as he's walking down there. Canine coming up from behind there. You see the officer with the canine walking up behind the officers that are giving the directions, but he's crawling backwards, which is kind of good. He's complying. That's good for him. And that's the best thing he could be doing at this point. Once they get him back away from the car, then they'll have an arrest team go up and approach him and take control of him. And then once they get him in control and in custody, then a team will go up and clear that truck out. But right now I'm watching the officers. Okay, they're working up. Here comes the arrest team's walking up. His hands are out to the side. Take control of the hands. Bring the hands to the back. Putting on the handcuffs. Now you can see the officers are still kind of watching the car. So once they get this guy handcuffed, they'll pat him down, roll him over, check him, bring him up, take him back behind the police cars. And now you can see those other officers holding gun barrels onto that truck. Now, as they're watching him there, we're going to watch now. There should be we'll keep an eye on this and see exactly what happens at the end. So please talk now by the car.
A dramatic high-speed pursuit. This driver wanted for reckless driving in custody tonight. Both individuals in that truck in custody, and this pursuit has come to an end. For Tim Linden, Sky 5, and all of us here at KTL, I'm Micah Ullman reporting the latest on all of this and the rest of the day's news tonight on the news at 10 and 11.